so we're good to go. So let's look at overnight camp first and get a sense of kind of what you have and the fields and all that good stuff.
All right. Well, so this is an event espresso, and what you're looking at now is just the data that came in from the registration. So there's no way to look at the registration page on this. This is just the collected data. All of the questions are under this thing called question groups, and it pretty much has participants information is pretty much a must. And if you can look and see, these are the fields that we have to have in our camp. That's a lot for every camp that we run. That is a single participant. Their first name, last name, email, address, city, state, zip, school name, group name. So these are the things that have to go just about on every registration for a child participant who attends either overnight or day camp, as well as small group training or a clinic, a camper clinic. These names this year does also need to be on the coaches, but it's not a camper. It wouldn't be labeled as a camper. It'd be labeled as coach's name.
Okay, so just for our purposes, there is one of these for each type of camp. We're now looking at the form for. Are we looking at the form specifically for overnight, or are you telling me that there is really no form we can look at? It's built upon these parts. So
the form for Event Espresso is built based on the questions that we need on the form.
All right. Okay. So, and you don't have any way to show me what the front end form looks like as if I was registering for a.
Let me try. The problem with Event Espresso is when an event becomes expired, I don't know if I can see the form anymore. Okay. Yeah, here you go. This is what the online form looked like.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? You see that URL in the location line?
Yep.
Can you highlight that and put it in an email to me real quick? Okay. So I guess what would maybe make the most sense for me is for you to show me this front end and tell me all the elements that either need to be, it's probably easier to say this needs to go away than anything else. So I think it's better to look at the front end rather than the back end of what you were starting to show me. So if you can just talk through it from top to bottom and let me know if there's any of these elements that need to be changed or any of them that are painful or whatever the case may be. Or you can say, Mike, this is pretty much what we need with the exception of this. That's really what I'm looking for today's call.
Okay, that's fine. As far as the participant information, the only thing that really needs to be changed in the way it's worded is that this needs to say parent email. For whatever reason, I have some really dumb parents, and I hate to say that, but they put their camper email there, and they complain that they don't get an email address. So that wording has to make sure they understand that it's for the parent, not a child, to put their email address.
Okay.
School name has to be there because the way the health department works in the state of Maryland is as long as you list the school name, they can track the immunization records, and I don't need a hard file for immunization.
Okay. And once again, if something currently is not marked as required, then I'm going to use this as a guide. I'm going to leave it not required, but if it needs to be changed, let me know.
I will. That needs to be changed.
That needs to be required?
That needs to be required.
Okay, good.
Okay. The group name, that needs to stay. It's not required to finish the registration, but it not be able to be changed. So when we talked about the back end of it, with them being able to go back into their account and edit, say, their week they chose or their roommate request, the group name absolutely cannot be edited after the initial online registration. So if they didn't add one, they can't add one. If they add one and want to change it, they can't change it.
Okay, so help me with that, the group name. I'm the parent of a child who's going to go to overnight camp. This is the form that I'm using to enter it in. The group name, what is the significance of the group name?
That's the group discount. So remember we talked about that campers who enter group name?
Yes.
As long as the group names match, they get matched, so they have to match exactly, they can start acquiring discounts. So here's where that information is entered. So when 5 people enter the last name Wooten under group name and they spell it exactly correct, type correctly exactly the same, the 5th person will then start to allow those people to accumulate a group discount. So this is where those group discounts play a factor.
So individual people, parents of a child, create their own group. They have to communicate on their own to other parents what the group is so that they all use the same group. And once the system identifies 5 of the exact same codes or group names, then all 5 and then everyone in the future gets a discount?
Correct. And then when it gets to 10, so the first discount is at 5. So if 5 match, then each person that's already registered will get an additional $20 off their tuition. And then when they get to 10, then everybody gets an additional, how do I say this? So if only 5 register on the group name, everybody who registers under that group name in that group of 5 would get $20 off. If at the end of the day 10 people register, they wouldn't get an additional discount. Their discount would be 25 instead of 20. If 20 register, their group discount would be, instead of 25, would be $30. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And it marks it on the 5th camper, the 10th camper, and the 20th camper.
Okay. And anyone with that identical set of characters for group name is entitled to that discount.
Correct.
Okay. And if they pay a deposit prior to the discount, and then they come back in to pay their balance, the balance will reflect the total discount. You know, it'll have to do the math. So if you came in and you did your deposit after there was 5%, you know, given, because there's 5 or 10%, because there's 5 people in there, then that person's going to get that, only get that reduction, and their deposit will be affected. Like they'll get 10% off the deposit and 10% off the balance, or how does that work currently?
No, the deposit is standard. No matter what, your deposit is $260.
Got it.
So all discounts are taken off of the balance.
Okay. All right. Can I see
and
the? No, I'm sorry.
Also,
go ahead.
One thing to note that's important: if a person, say that 5 people register and they got the discount of $20 off, and that's on a Thursday. On Saturday, they decide they want to pay their balance. So they've gotten, say, early registration, and they got their group discount. They pay their balance. If they get to 10 people, that's not credited to the person that's already paid their balance. They don't get a credit of money back. Does that make sense? Whatever your balance is at the time you pay out is what it is. So if they end up getting more people registered, they can't then now come back and get a credit of money back.
Does this incentivize people to wait till the last minute to pay?
It does, because they do want the group discount. And most people who do our group discounts, they know that. And we're very honest about it when they come and ask us, like, should I pay now or should I wait to see what my group discount is?
Okay.
But Mike, it also, if I can jump in here, I think it also encourages, Mike Rosenfeld, who's got 4 kids, to recruit a 5th kid. So even though it maybe we have their deposit, but, and I don't think they still pay in advance, most of them, but it stops them from paying at the very beginning, everything in full. But what it does is it encourages them to recruit other campers.
Okay. All right. So the group name will, by the time someone gets to this form, will they clearly know what the group name field is supposed to be, or is this the first time they're seeing this?
No, they know it.
Okay.
If there's somebody who does a group, they know all about that procedure.
Okay.
Now, somebody who might get to this form and say maybe new to the camp, they may not so much, but majority of people who do our group names, they know how to get that group discount.
Okay. Can you do me a favor? Can you scroll up to the top of the page, please? So the tuition, resident, tuition. So what is a commuter for overnight camp? Is just someone who's sleeping at their own home and coming back the next day?
Yeah, and those are people that are mostly in Hagerstown, Frederick, or LaVale. Those are kids that live maybe 15 miles away from the college. Majority of our camp is the resident camper.
Okay.
Now, these tuitions here are different. We raised our tuition this year and our deposits, so these are not correct tuition.
Okay.
And then, Mike, one thing that we do not need that picture, the map picture, that was something in a detailed event espresso, so that's not something we need.
What picture? The map?
The map. We do not need that.
Okay, great. That's exactly what I need to hear. And are all the overnight camps always at the same place?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Can we scroll down a little bit again? So I understand.
Yes. Now, real quick, another thing to note about this up here, where it says deposit. I can come back to that later. Okay. So where do you want me to go?
Let's start now so it has participant information. Then we have this header additional information, which is a little confusing, but it's really session information where they have to choose.
Yeah.
And they can only choose one, or is it possible that people will go for multiple sessions?
Yeah, so they can choose as many sessions as they want. Now, this girl session, this is a boy cannot go to the girl session. A girl cannot go to the boy session.
But does this?
But a camper could logistically pick 1 or 4 sessions. So when they pick these sessions, they have to be the program will have to charge a deposit per every session chosen up front.
Okay.
So the two things a multiple session would do is would trigger the fact that it needs a deposit per session, and we do have a discount called multiple session discount, which if you chose week 1 and 2, you would get $20 off week 1 and $20 off week 2, but that would come off the balance, not the deposit.
Okay. Got it. Currently, does this form allow you to click boy and girl?
No, at the bottom of the form, it allows you to add another camper, and then that's when you could register a sibling, and then you could obviously pick for the girl or pick for another brother.
Well, I guess my question is, can you right now click session 2 and 3? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. All right. So I understand that.
But you should not be able to.
Okay. All right, medical information.
Okay, so all of this is needed and required.
Okay. So everything should have an asterisk in theory next to it.
Everything. Well, now the medical history doesn't necessarily, where it says under physician's phone, the medical history checks all that apply. That shouldn't be required, because if they don't have any of those problems, I don't want it to stop them from finishing their registration.
Okay.
And then the same with everything from the medical history check that applies The consent to release should not be required, but consent to release should be required.
All right, so let's go up a little bit. So medical history is really not required. Explain the box below it. Explain is not required because it may not be. Medication's not required.
Right.
And then the above listed medications may be given to the above named camper, if applicable. Then yes, that would be. I give permission for my child to take more than one dose. Okay, I get that. Consent to release. Let me see what that looks like. Is there a checkbox underneath it? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the Okay, that's good. I'm good so far. So let's talk. What promo code is different than group code?
Yeah. So promo code. We do a lot of donations for auctions, and when I give a donation to an auction, they get a gift certificate that they can either mail back, or on that gift certificate is a promotional code that I make up. And that's where they would enter that code. Now, some of those codes could either be, they could be equal to all of tuition, or they could be equal to $10 off, $20 off, whatever number we give them. So that has to be a promo code that I give the parent, I give the organization or the coaches, and then they then enter it in. But I have to be able to denote in the system what that promo code is worth.
And is the promo code going to take the money off the balance or the deposit or both, or how's that work? Does it work just like the group code?
It would take it similar. So if it was for full tuition, so if we gave a church or a school tuition, it would just be minus $525, which is what our tuition is. It would be equal $525 towards the camp. If it was for just $25 off, that would come off just the balance, not the deposit. So the deposit is always $260 regardless. But if someone has a free tuition for camp, then it would be take off everything.
Okay. Can someone have a promotional code and a group code?
Yes.
Yes, they could. They could also get a sibling discount and an early registration discount.
And a multiple session discount.
Where do those things show up?
Those come off automatically.
So the early discounts are 3 different dates. One is the after 11:59 by December 25th, you get $75 off. By 11:59 on March 1st, you get $25 off. This is for the overnight camp. And on April 1st, you get $15 off by 11:59. So if you register prior to that date, you get that discount. But obviously, let's say, for example, someone registers before December 25th, they get the 75. They don't also get the 25 and the 15. It's just you get one of the early discounts if it applies. So that's the way the discounts work for that. The group discounts is the number of people. Multiple sessions is the number of sessions. And then sibling is the number of siblings if you have it on the same account.
Okay.
Am I correct, Erin?
Yeah, so automatically when someone registers, they pay their deposit, that's $260 regardless. Then when they see their balance should be minus whatever discount they get. So if they register early, it's minus the early registration discount. If they register early and pick 2 sessions, then they would get minus the registration discount, early registration, plus the multiple session discount. And now for overnight camp only, the discounts are per week. For the day camp, the discounts are total tuition.
All right. So what I need you to do for me is just kind of, because it sounds like a lot of rules, is if you could just kind of sit down per camp and say, for overnight camp, these are the rules for a discount. There's an early registration, there's a sibling, there's a this, and there's a this, and then next to each, just kind of explain I mean, I don't think I need an explanation. I mean, early registration. Well, I mean, so if I register early, but I pay the same time that someone who doesn't register early, I still am entitled. It's not the discount is not tied to when you pay. It's tied to when you register. Correct?
Register and put down a deposit. Yeah.
Okay. Can you do that for me, just so we have I can give to my developers a document for each camp, and you only have to do it as we do each camp together, that shows the rules for discounts and how they work.
Yeah, no problem. I can put that up to you today.
And maybe you would put valid with other offers, not valid with other offers, if that's even the case.
Okay.
What I also would like to know on the same document is what the early registration times are and what the prices are associated with each of them.
Yep, you can do that.
Okay. Okay. So at this point,
and can I jump in here real quick, Mike?
Yeah.
Maybe I missed it. I didn't see roommate preference on this. Did I miss that?
Yes.
I missed it too.
It should be. Where is it? Well, it used to be under school name.
I mean, you can pick where you want it, Terry Lynn, but I need to obviously be in there.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't know where it is now, but it used to be under school name. So it was roommate preference, roommate request. Actually, it said roommate. It was just like a box like this. It said roommate request, and then it had a parenthesis next to it and said 2 to 3 roommates must match exactly. And then you could type in your 1 or 2 roommate requests.
So you're allowed to make up to 2.
Correct. We have the ability to have a 2 camper room or a 3 camper room.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that you see missing?
I'm sorry?
Is there anything else that you think may be missing from here?
I did not see anything else in terms of roommates, that group name, address, things like that. I mean, Carolyn, do you want to put on, and this might be something we want to ask Right Source, is how did you hear about the camp? Do we want to put that on there?
I don't care. That's up to you.
Mike, I might want to ask Will and Yvonne and Mike Sweeney over there at Right Source, just is that something? I think that could just be data that we collect because they may, for them.
Okay. All right. So there's a sibling discount. Explain that to me. If more than one sibling goes to the same type of camp, there's a discount? So overnight camp and another overnight camp? Or does the sibling discount extend to any of your camps?
The sibling discount extends to the day camp, but the discounts are not the same for the day camp that they are for the overnight camp. So they would only get so if Mike and Joe were brothers, Mike goes overnight, he would get $20 off for Joe going to day camp, but Joe would only get $10 off for going for day camp.
How does your current system handle that other than if I were to click on register another camper, it knows that I'm paying for more than one person at a time?
Well, this system didn't do that, so I had to manually do it.
And Mike, that's obviously an example of some of the things that obviously we're looking forward with use, because there was a lot of things that our system didn't do that had to be done manually, which created, mistakes like I had said before.
Do parents traditionally register both siblings at the same time?
Yes.
Okay.
But the 2 registrations, because they're independent camps, have to stay separate from each other. So I don't know how you can, I don't know. I mean, like right now, the current system we have right now, the one that's at Event Expresso, it was hit or miss. Some of the campers' discounts would show up, and then some wouldn't. And I can't tell you why. So sometimes it worked and sometimes it didn't.
All right. Can you go to the bottom again, please?
Sure.
So I either can register another camp or complete my registration. Those are the two options.
Correct.
Pretty much. And edit event is just because you're logged into WordPress. That wouldn't be there for
that wouldn't be there.
Okay. Okay. So we've talked about, you've shown me what the current form looks like. We've talked about some of its shortcomings, like being able to apply the discount appropriately. We talked about what's missing from this screen. We talked about you're giving me rules for all the discounts, which I need. And we've talked about you're giving me the different tiers of discounts for advanced registration and what those dates are for this coming year. Now, you can change the dates if for some reason they're not solid yet, but maybe give me a ballpark idea. And if you give me those, I have enough understanding, if I refer back to this video, to know what we need to do from the front end standpoint of building this out. And I know what we need to do on the back end to allow this form to be modular and dynamic. So I get this. Is there anything else you want to tell me about this page?
No.
Okay.
No.
I didn't get, for whatever reason, I didn't get the email that you sent with this URL. Don't know why. Looks right. Yeah, let's try that. All right, it's here.
Carolyn,
It's here. It's here.
Carolyn, is there any value in showing him the old system?
Oh, yeah, that was my hope that he had. I have web access on the old computer so he can look at it. And just whenever he's ready to take a look at it, I can.
Well,
The reason I say that, Mike, is from a that was a system that did work better than the Event Espresso, and it was very user friendly. Is that correct, Terry Lynn?
Yeah.
but from my perspective, if I look at the registration form, the front end, it makes sense to me, and I think that
Okay.
a user should be able to fill that out. It seems like the problem you were having isn't necessarily with the fact people didn't understand what to do with the form. It was the inconsistency of how it was writing the data and applying discounts and all those things. So if I use what you're showing me as a guide, but I make it work, then you're in a much better situation, right?
Yeah, I think the old system, Joe, I don't think necessarily the old system, the front end part is what's going to be helpful for Mike. I believe it's going to be when I show him the report to be able to run off of it.
Gotcha.
So I think that's really going to come into effect because the old system, every report I need is actually in the old system. I just can't transfer it to the new system. So I think that's where he's going to be more.
Okay. And then, Mike, the other big thing is just that it allowed people to register without putting the proper deposit down, and that's vital that obviously is in place.
Without putting the proper deposit down, like the
So
250.
someone could go online and register and never pay a dime towards the deposit, and it would show up as a registered camper.
Yeah, that won't happen. Okay. All right. So can we do the same exact thing for regular camps?
Yeah, hold on. The day camp, yeah. Oh, he took it down.
Is there a way?
Well, I would say this, Mike. They're very similar. They have the same medical. They have the same registration. I just realized too that the transportation wasn't up there for the overnight camp.
Oh, you're right. It's not. So he took that down too.
So that, Mike, the transportation was a required field, and it required that you put down the transportation fee right away. But basically what it would do is you had to choose between, there was five options. One was the Maryland route to camp. The second one was the Virginia route to camp. The third one was the Maryland route home from camp. The fourth one was the Virginia route home from camp. And then the fifth one was none. And so what we didn't have the ability to do, which we need to have the ability to do, is that, and same thing with the sessions, be able to say they're filled and they couldn't click on that once they reach max capacity. That's more for down the road, but reason we wanted to be able to check none, because then people we don't refund transportation, and we didn't want people to say, well, I didn't know I clicked on transportation. By them clicking on none, they were acknowledging either to pick one thing or none. And they would have the ability to pick two things. They could pick to camp on Maryland and from camp on Maryland, or just from, or just to, or none. So they had that ability to pick multiple, but then we need the ability to say filled. So someone could not, and if we filled a camp, I don't know the best way to do it. You're the expert. Is either that camp would show up as filled and have like another color, and you wouldn't be able to check on it, or it would be taken down. Probably the best thing is to show that it's filled.
Here it is. I think I might be able to figure this out. Hold on. I think it's just a matter of clicking these things that he took off.
Yeah, I would love to see it.
Hold on, let me see if I can figure this out. I'm sorry, I'm not.
Well,
there we go. Do you see what I see?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's just a matter, he just unclicked them. There you go.
Okay, real quick.
Go back to it to select.
I'm sorry, okay, somebody tell me what you want me to show you.
No, I see it. You can just click one of the two drop-down boxes.
All right, so basically, it didn't work for us because each week you have to be able to pick to camp and from camp. So under each week, it has to have, and we've changed some areas here. But like say under session 1, you have the ability to do this. You have to be able to pick your way to camp and then your way home from camp. But you have to have the ability to only choose one or both. Like you don't, like some campers will ride the bus. They'll get a ride to camp, but then their parents don't want to pick them up, so they'll bring them home on the bus.
I get it.
Okay. And it has to happen for each individual week.
Okay.
And as I'm thinking about it, when someone picks a multiple week, they should be, this roommate request here, it really should be for each individual week too, because we have some kids who come week 1, they have Billy as their roommate, but then week 4 they come and they pick Tommy.
Mm-hmm. What percentage of people register for more than one session? Guesstimating.
What do you think, Joe? We have a good number.
100 out of the 2,000, 2,500.
Okay.
Small percentage.
Okay. Okay. Anything else that you think is missing from here?
No.
And any chance through your tools we can temporarily turn on a registration?
That'd be Terry Leonard.
Okay, so what do you want me to do?
A regular camp?
I don't understand what you mean by a regular camp.
You showed me the overnight camp registration.
Oh, so you want to look at the day camp?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Okay, let's see. All right, so it looks like it's there. I don't know how to get to it from the registration page, though. Let me see if I can change the groups for the overnight camp and see if it'll show me through the overnight camp.
Maybe there's a field in there for like dates or something, and we can change the expiration of the camp date, and then maybe it'll show up, and then we can change it back after we look at it. I'm actually printing the form that you just emailed me, just in case you wanted to take it down.
Okay.
That way, I have it on old school on paper.
No. All right. So it's something he did with the template.
Sometimes in the WordPress tool, there may be a URL in the tool itself.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
So where do?
Where was the page where you had the actual form for that, or the settings for that day camp form?
Right here.
See where it says View Event? Top right corner. Click View.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
So I think it's very similar, except there's in place of transportation is the before and after care.
Okay. So here, here, I'll send you this form. Participant information. Same thing. School name should be required.
Caitlin, I just realized by looking at that, go down a little bit, that on the overnight camp form, it didn't have date of birth or the sex.
Oh, you're right.
So we need to have sex so it can say male or female. That's very important, and date of birth is important, both required forms.
Okay, I have that.
Okay. And then the group name here works exactly the same, and I'll give you that discount. Sessions, they can choose one or both. The before and after care works just like transportation, but it needs to be per session. So just like we talked about for the transportation, you got to be able to choose it within your session. That would be great.
So, for example, Mike, if somebody signs up for 2 weeks, they could sign up for before care for week 1, after care for week 1, both before and after, or none. I think we probably want that none factor, and then that could be different for week 2.
Okay.
Let me know when I can scroll down.
Good. I am ready.
Okay. So here, the medical information, same as on the last one, from parent, guardian to physician's phone number needs to be required.
Mm-hmm. The same as the other one.
And then exactly the same as the other one. And then we have two consents to releases here, as you can see.
Okay.
And then they would be able to do the same thing, be able to submit a second camper or a third camper.
Okay.
And I just sent you the day camp.
All right. So this is huge. This is really helpful. Normally, without this, we would have been spending a lot more time together. But what this is going to allow me to do is go back to this video on my own and just hit pause and all that and build out these wireframes based on the information that you have, that you shared with me. What I think makes... Go ahead, Joe.
Sorry. I was saying, I do want to mention the medical release is different for the overnight camp and the day camp. And then one thing to mention is that the day camp goes to one bank account and the overnight camp goes to another bank account.
The funds.
Yes.
Okay.
Those are two. So, and the reason that's important is, so basically, there's two separate bank accounts, and we can detail this out for you. The overnight camp goes with its own account. All the other things, the clinic.
No, hold on, Joe. The overnight and the father-son camp go to the same bank.
Sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. Correct.
So and I'll detail this when I do the discounts for you, Mike. The father, son, and overnight go to the same account. Then every other event goes to the day camp account.
Okay. All right. Can you what payment processor do you use currently?
For online, we're through M&T Bank and Merchants, and we use the E4. Hold on, I'll show you what it is. Because it's funny, it's E4, but it's First Data.
Okay, that's fine.
But it's called Gateway E4. And I actually requested from our bank. We told them we were updating the form for you, or updating the site, and they actually told me to request the form that I am going to have them send to me. I can tell you what the name of that form is. The VAR sheet.
What is it they're asking for?
So this is one of our bank guys, and he requested. He told me to let him know that you would need a VAR sheet for each account to pass to our developer. So what I can do is I can introduce you to them via email. They're very easy to work with, and any information you need, you can collect from them.
Okay. So right now, your system currently it's hit or miss, but allow people to register for different types of camps, put one payment method in, and have that method get funneled into different accounts. That's working now?
No. Right now, if someone registers for every camp has to be independent. So we have one registration page for the father-son, one for overnight, one for academic, one for day camp. So if you want to register for father-son, you would click on father-son and register, and then you would go back and then register for overnight on the overnight page. And those two payments would go to the overnight camp banking system. If you wanted to register for overnight and day camp, you had to do it separately right now because the camps are separate. So you would register for overnight, do your whole process, and then you would register for day camp and do that process. The day camp money would go to the day camp account. The overnight camp would go to the overnight camp. There's no crossover on the registration forms.
And Mike, let me say this: that was because we were told that was the way that we had to do it. Was because they didn't have the ability that if you registered through all the camps, then to send the right camp money to the right place. So we're fine with if it stays separate, but unless you can figure out a way easily to have the account, they can register for everything, and then just make sure the money was directed the right way. Am I correct, Terry Lynn?
I probably would say right now, I mean, my gut, because of the way our system is on the back end, we need to make sure the money is being allotted properly.
Correct.
If there's any chance of a mistake, then we need to have a safe separate. But I mean, if it's something, I guess if it's something you can do, then
I don't know that it's. So here's what I'm thinking. I have a client right now who, remember that Challenge for Kids example I showed you, that fundraiser?
Yeah.
So what we did for them is they have one bank account. That's normal. I don't know any circumstance that in my 20 years where we've dealt with a merchant account and we've donated funds and divided it in one transaction and sent it to different bank accounts. It's one submit, one confirm funds are available, one processing it, and one depositing it to one account. So I think if someone told you that that's how it works, that's probably accurate. However, what they did is they have one account, but we pass on a variable to the bank that allows the bank, and I think it may have been M&T, to then say, okay, of this $100,000, 22,000 goes here, 20,000 goes there, 17,500 goes here, and then it's separated after the fact.
Yeah, I don't necessarily. I don't think we want to get into that. I think we'd want to keep it a separate registration page because I just think because it's just technically two separate entities. Trading is good for basketball camps. I think we're probably better keeping it separate.
I think we have to, just from our business model standpoint and for our record.
So the way that's going to work is, what's the other camp that is in the same account with overnight?
Father, son.
So in order to keep this neat and clean, it seems to me that we, at the bottom of overnight, we would say, would you like to do another registration for overnight or father and son, but not allow them to do any of the others, because then we run into the situation where we're basically adding different things to a cart, different camp types to a cart, but we can't process them because they're all going to different accounts. If you were able to do what I said, which is after the fact have it separated, then I could then do a scenario where they could register for any of the other type of camps within one session without having to submit payment for one and then go back and do another type of camp. But if that's not a big deal to you, that's fine. I just want to manage expectations.
Yeah, my gut says right now we have to keep it separate just because of the separate businesses.
Okay, so what I need to know in that document that you're preparing for me is the different bank accounts. You can just say M&T1, M&T2, and then under it put and if there's M&T3, I don't know how many there are, and then put under each camp type that goes to each account.
Okay.
Okay.
And I'm going to send right now the father, son, and the academic camp registration form.
Okay. Actually, you can hold off on that.
Okay.
What I want to do is, although they're going to be shorter phone calls, what I'd like to do is schedule a time, if we can, on Thursday. On Thursday, I would like to be in a position to present to you wireframes for those 2 camps we discussed today. And at the same time, what I'd like to do is allow you, here's how we work. Normally what I do is I present it to you, I explain why I did what we did, and I give you the courtesy of you and Joe to look at it together, to beat it up, to give, and then to have a follow-up call where you tell me revisions that are required. So what I'd like to do maybe on Thursday, if we can, is schedule a time. Let me present those 2 to you, see if you have any questions, then let the 2 of you discuss it, and then you'll follow up with me all your thoughts. But after that, maybe I can look at the next 2 forms, the one that you were going to send me together, and do a separate video for that, just to make sure that there aren't any nuances that you come up with that I wouldn't be able to know if I look at it on my own.
Okay.
Okay, I would say 8:30. I'm free at 8:30 on Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
Because we have an event at 10 or 9:30, 9:15, so we could go from 8:30 to 9, and then I am going to. Then I could also do, but I don't think Terry Lynn could do. 1:30, 2 o'clock. Terry Lynn's busy, so 8:30 works great for us on Thursday if that works for you.
I'll make it happen.
yeah, I'm sorry, I have a doctor's appointment with a kid.
Okay, so we'll do another WebEx at from 8:30 to as long as we can go, and if it's just enough for me, I'm going to be able to I think I should be able to go through the wireframes in under a half an hour, which will leave us time then to look at the other 2 forms.
Okay, great.
Okay.
All right, great.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
No, this has been good. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.